So before we leave endogeneity, what are the editors looking for? Well, if you're doing a statistical or econometrics approach to the problem of endogeneity, they want you to use system geometry. They don't want to see two-stage least squares. In fact, the editors consider two-stage least squares to be so last century, right? So do not call what you're doing two-stage least squares. You can call it instrumental variable, right? That's okay. They do want to see intuitive, economically motivated instruments. Yeah, they do want to see that. They love that. But they especially want to see natural experiments. Yeah, they especially want to see natural experiments. And when you do a natural experiment, you normally do what's known as a Diff-in-Diff estimation. Yeah? A difference in difference estimation. Yeah. So just a bit of it. Yeah. Just a bit of explanation of that. You have an exogenous event. Yeah. Or a number of events like Hyder and Lindquist. You define a time dummy that is pre the event and post the event. You define a treatment dummy, those states that had a tax increase and those states that haven't. And then you do a regression. You know? So the leverage is a function of the time dummy, pre and post, the change in tax. The treatment, that is the treated firm or not, the state that has the tax change or not. And then you have the interaction, you know, how different are the treated firms after the exogenous change. And you can also have control variables. So the difference in difference coefficient is the third one, the B3. This will tell you whether the firms that had a tax change had a different performance, different leverage after the tax change. So things you could look at would be COVID-19 could be the exogenous event, and the treatment could be online versus shopfront businesses. And you look at the interaction. Did the online businesses have more, revenue after the COVID? So then finally, the other thing that editors are very interested in and looking out for is if you do ratio regression. Yeah? So if you do the y divided by like a common denominator, right? So it might be debt over total assets equals a function of revenue over total assets and a whole lot of variables dividing by total assets, right? So we do this a lot, right? And so the question arises if you get a significant relationship. Are you getting a significant relationship because y is correlated with the x variables, or are you getting a significant relationship because your denominator, 1 on z, is correlated with the denominator, 1 on z, on the other side? So it seems like obvious, right? But if you've got 1 on z on both sides, of course you're going to get a spurious relationship. And there's 2 good papers that look at that. The other thing is you have y's that are very persistent and x's that are very persistent. So the y is a function of the previous value. Yt is a function of previous values of y, and xt is a function of previous values of x. Well, if it was a random walk, then the Granger and Newbold would tell you that even though the y and x is uncorrelated, because they're a random walk, they're exploding together, and there will seem to be a relationship. You get a high R squared. But then Granger and Huang and Jin show you that can happen also if the y's and x are stationary. That just that y, that you have an autoregressive function of the y's and x's. And Person, Sarkisson, and Simon show how that can occur in financial economics. So they're 2 things to look out for, and these are the references. So even if you don't do anything about it, the editors like to see you have a discussion of it, whether this is potentially a problem or not. And of course, a really easy fix is to do a bootstrap, like we talked about at the beginning of the workshop. And we're nearly coming to the end. Here's a paper that was the best paper at Abacus, and endogeneity accounting finance, natural experiments is a state-of-the-art solution. So that says far more, far better than what I've said in the workshop, just in words, how to do these natural experiments. The Hyder and Lundquist paper we talked about, and this is my colleague Jing Shi, who got this paper published in Journal of Management Studies, which is a natural experiment and a difference in difference, sort of difference in difference estimation. So then I think we're pretty much